This week I decided to do something special. I sat down and binge-watched all of Season 9 of the Trailer Park Boys on Netflix. Now for my international fan base, the Boys are a Canadian comedy institution that spawned multiple episodes, specials, and even 3 feature-length movies. For the uninitiated, the show is a comedy that focuses on the drunk and stoned misadventures of Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles, 3 lifelong friends who grow dope, shoot guns while also trying to love their families, and stay one step ahead of Mr. Leahy, the park supervisor, and an ex-cop who wants nothing more than to ruin their fun at every turn. Recently, the 3 actors who make up the main cast bought the rights to the show and moved it all to Netflix. And to properly explain how I feel about this newest season, I need to take a step back and tell you how I felt about Season 8. Personally, I felt it moved the show into some very interesting and very much needed new directions, mainly introducing fresh characters like Dawn/Dawn to help fill out the cast, which up until this point had pretty much stayed etched in stone. Season 8 also allowed background characters like Tyrone and Sarah to have more screen time and flesh themselves out as characters. I'm happy to report then that Season 9 builds on these improvements in big ways. You see, since the last time we saw them, Leahy and Barb have turned Sunnyvale Trailer Park into a retirement community. Bubbles and Sarah, as well as Tyrone, have actually managed to thrive in this new environment, but all that comes to a screeching halt when Ricky and Julian get out of jail for the bazillionth time. Now, while this is a setup long-time fans of the show will be familiar with, this time around it's just a little different. Ricky, for once, doesn't want revenge, only to reunite with his pregnant daughter Trinity and the rest of his family, but you see he can't do that because of the villain for this season. Lieutenant Leslie Dancer, an ex-SIS soldier who was hired by Leahy to run security in the park. Dancer runs Sunnyvale with an iron fist, pushing a zero booze, zero Ricky policy, which means our heroes will need to find a new place to live. Dancer really is a breath of fresh air because he helps break up the classic Boys versus Leahy type situations. He also might be the most dangerous villain the Boys have faced to date. He plays for keeps, and it really does ratchet up the drama in certain scenes. Also, while I called it early on, his name and rank make for a pretty good joke. In another surprising turn of events, for a big chunk of this season, the 3 main boys are kinda off doing their own thing in little mini-stories. It all more or less culminates around Julian, who has bought a failing motel in hopes of fixing it up and turning it into a place where they can all live. Granted, this isn't the Motel Boys we're watching here, so it's pretty obvious where this is all gonna go. Season 9 also came packing a really understated theme of fatherhood throughout. Ricky wants to find a home so he can be a granddad. Jacob is trying to learn from Ricky on how to be a provider. That, of course, means learning to grow dope on his own, go figure. Even J-Rock gets in on the action when he discovers that he has a kid. A real funny kid, too, who steals a lot of the scenes, and guess what? He also wants to be a rapper. Special note should also be paid to actor John Dunsworth, who probably tops himself this season, pushing Leahy to the drunkest he's ever been, which is really saying something considering that he finds new and interesting ways to make Leahy drunk and incoherent every season, every movie, and every special. I'm not sure if these new Netflix seasons have more of a budget to spend on the production values, but I certainly felt they were damn high. How high, you might be asking? Well, they get a freaking tank this season. Trailer Park Boys Season 9, while maybe not as tight and focused as 8 was, mainly because I get the feeling the actors wanted to prove that they could run the show on their own and have it still be good, while also making the transition over to Netflix and serialized writing. Succeeds by not resting on their laurels and not taking the easy way out, allowing the boys to grow as characters away from one another, while also providing all the same swearing and dope jokes fans expect. It's familiar without being repetitive, and considering that this is 9 seasons in, that's a real accomplishment. Few shows, let alone a few Canadian shows, ever make it that long without substantially dipping in quality. The future is looking pretty bright for the Trailer Park Boys of Sunnyvale, and with seasons 10 and 11 already contracted, I personally feel very good about the show's future on Netflix. If you're a fan, or if you've never seen it before, maybe now is the time that you should visit the Trailer Park Boys. I give this season the stamp of recommended, and I say you should all check it out.